Today is Sunday, September 14, 2025. We continue on talking about Platform Sutra in the chapter of the doubts. So last time, at the end, we were saying something like this. These disciples have good intentions. They care about Dharma Mountain and about their teacher. They fear that I'm being deceived or the monastery is suffering losses. But in the end, I'm the one who suffers. So still, is there any benefit to me? Yes, it raises my awareness and vigilance, although I already had it to begin with. So this is what our teacher, Master Sheng Yen, was saying. So very often, good intentions, kind words, and good deeds done to protect our monastery may lead to more trouble. And our teacher said that, I hope you all understand, even in such situations, we must practice patience. If we are patient, the problem disappears. You'll be safe, I'll be safe, everyone will be safe. So the talk ends on August 24, 2025. Now we continue. Upholding rights also requires patience, but with wisdom to avoid confrontation. So let's ask a question. If you were standing by the side of the road and a large group of non-Buddhists came to me with stick ready to attack, what would you do? Well, there's some reactions here. You would quickly run away, right? And thinking that, let's Shifu endure it. He can take it. So you run. Over here, actually, what we truly need is deep care and concern. Share your good ideas with me. Let me know about problems you see. Tell others about the good things we have done. Tell us directly about our shortcomings. Just like businesses often say, please share your strength with others and tell us directly about our weaknesses. If we all support each other in this way, we can avoid many unnecessary troubles and harmful consequences. So the final point is this: how do we protect ourselves? Should we be patient? Yes, we must be patient, but not by confronting or criticizing others. We must learn how to avoid trouble, how to prevent problems. This is the most important thing. If we engage in direct contemplation, we will encounter serious trouble. Avoidance is essential. Well, give an example. When practicing Tai Chi, if someone throws a heavy punch, what do? We deflect. With just a slight move, we redirect the force. Using 4 ounces to deflect 1,000 pounds. That means using a little bit of effort so that we could deflect a very heavy punch. So if they come at us with 1,000 pounds of force, and we respond with ego force, both sides will suffer. So we must understand, to survive, we must practice patience. Small impatience disrupt great plans. Let us all be inspired by the word patience. Well, some people in modern time, perhaps influenced by modern trends, want to take to the streets with flags, sticks, axes, stone, and bricks to fight for their rights. They say the weak must take strong action to defend their rights. Otherwise, the strong will wipe them out. This is a very harmful way of thinking. It's rooted in Darwinian ideas of survival of the fittest, of struggle and elimination. These ideas completely contradict the principles of Buddhism. Buddhism aligns more with the ancient Chinese philosophy of Lao Tzu and Zhuangzi, and has some common ground with Confucian thought. It is not in line with the modern Western ideologies of Marx, Lenin, class struggle, and revolutionary confrontation. Of course, this is don't claim the right to criticize today's politicians and political movements. But as Buddhists, we too may resist and speak up. Only our way is different. So the saying from the Sutra is that if one can drill wood to produce fire, the mud can surely give rise to a red lotus. Well, what is red lotus? The saying is a metaphor. Wood contains fire, but only if you drill it with an iron tool can the fire emerge. Likewise, in filthy mud, beautiful red lotuses can grow. The red lotus has two layers of meaning. First layer, if wood is not drilled with iron, it remains just wood. It cannot produce fire. Similarly, a person who does not study the Dharma and practice meditation remains a sentient being, not an enlightened one. But if one practices meditation and follow the Dharma, one can awaken and become a Buddha. So this is the first layer. The second layer is that wood and fire are essentially the same substance. Without drilling, it is wood. With drilling, it becomes fire. This symbolizes that sentient beings filled with afflictions and enlightened Buddhas are not inherently different. As long as one practices Dharma, one can transform from an afflicted being into a wise and pure Buddha. So once an ordinary being becomes enlightened, a Buddha or a sage, just like wood, become fire. They can never return to being ordinary wood again. And mud or mire can indeed give rise to lotuses. Don't think that mud is just dirty and useless. As long as a lotus seed is planted in it, the mud can grow a lotus, one that is beautiful, pure, and fragrant. And this also has two layers of meaning. First layer, a lotus grows for mud, but without planting the seed. Will mud grow a lotus? Of course, the answer is no. Mud can grow a lotus, but only if the seed is planted. This means in the afflicted minds of sentient beings, the seed must be planted. What seed? The seed of Dharma, also known as the Bodhi seed. In ordinary term, we call this giving rise to bodhicitta, the aspiration for awakening. When we hear the Dharma and give rise to this aspiration, that is like sowing the lotus seed in the mud. But even with mud and seed, if there's no water, will the lotus grow? So, mud alone isn't enough. Once the Bodhi seed is planted, we need to continuously water it. That means listen to Dharma frequently, immerse in Dharma teachings, stay close to good spiritual friends, practice and cultivate regularly. So let me repeat here. Listen to the Dharma frequently, immerse in Dharma teachings, stay close to good spiritual friends, practice and cultivate regularly. This is our effort, just like cultivating a lotus pond. Once the seed is planted, the pond must be regularly watered. The second layer of meaning, the lotus seed cannot grow in clean, dry soil. So a lotus seed cannot grow in dry, clean soil. It must be planted in muddy water, beneath the surface, to take root and grow. What does this symbolize? It means that for sentient beings to become Buddhas, it is not by escaping or avoiding this world of afflictions, nor by leaving behind the environment of ordinary beings. Rather, it is precisely within this world of afflictions, among ordinary people, that one must arouse the aspiration to help others. So practice the Bodhisattva path. Emulate the Bodhisattvas and work to relieve suffering in the Saha world. Only then can one become a Buddha. Thus, the Sutra says, the Bodhisattva path of all Buddhas must be cultivated among sentient beings. In other words, all Buddhas attain Buddhahood through cultivating among suffering sentient beings. This is the best and truest course for become a Buddha. These two metaphors are very meaningful for us. Then we talk about lack of self-confidence and the Buddha's encouragement. So most people lack confidence in themselves. Their ego is strong. They think, I'm just an ordinary person. How could I possibly become a Buddha? They don't believe in their potential to become enlightened. This is like a piece of wood, not believing it could produce fire. I'm just wood. But we are sentient beings, and Sakyamuni Buddha has already told us all sentient beings can become Buddhas. So we should believe him. He became a Buddha, and he told us that many others have become Buddhas. So we should believe if others can do it, so can I. If the Buddha can become a Buddha, so can I. We must have this faith. That's the point of this teaching, to encourage and inspire us. Now, the question is that, but why do so few become Buddhas? So someone asked, well, then why have so few people become Buddhas? Throughout history, from thousands of years ago to now, it seems that only Sakyamuni Buddha became enlightened. No one else is recorded as having done so. So many people believe Buddhas are Buddhas, sentient beings are sentient beings. We are fundamentally different. However, the Buddha's teaching makes sense. He said, if we can let go of all deluded thoughts and attachment, then we will be just like the Buddha. So this kind of realization is actually not that hard to experience. Anyone who practices can have a taste of it. But after we get a glimpse, are we already the same as the Buddha? Not necessarily. Well, a Buddha experiences this realization once and remain in that state forever. But ordinary people, after cultivation, there may be a moment where they let go of everything. For 2 seconds, 3 seconds, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. But soon after, they cannot hold on to it anymore. Just a moment ago, they heard the Dharma talk and resonated deeply. Yes, I understand. But the next moment, the situation changes. People, events, right and wrong arise. And the mind's afflictions arise again. That's the condition of ordinary beings. But the Buddha told us As long as we keep practicing, this experience will become deeper and more stable and last longer each time. Eventually, we will become Buddhas. So, some people feel disappointed, weary, or angry about their environment, their living environment, their work environment, or even their mental environment. They want to escape. Others are deeply attached to their environment. They love it to death, hate it to death, can't let go. All of these are afflictions. In truth, when we say we love to death or hate to death, it's a form of emotional affliction. These intense feelings don't last long, even if they do arise. What do people find hardest to let go of? What's the hardest thing to let go of? Is this your wife, your money, your body, your opinions? What do people cling to the most? Is it your husband, your children? Maybe. But there's something even harder to let go of. You know what? Well, that's the ideas and honor, reputation. Still, there's one thing that is the hardest of all to let go. Do you know what? It's your life. Some people say, I love money so much as my life. Others say, I'd rather have money than my life. But when it comes down to it, which matters more, your money or your life? Of course, your life. Often, when people see money, they forget their life and take foolish risks. But if really they are forced to choose between losing money or losing life, they will choose to keep up money. The Buddha's perspective, life is impermanent. From the Dharma point of view, even your life, the thing you cling to most, you have to give up eventually. So, do we see anyone who never dies? Anyone who lives forever? Therefore, Buddhism teaches impermanence. Life, it's impermanence. The body is just a phenomenon of life. No matter how long you live, what's the limit? 150 years? Even that is unheard of. Eventually, that comes to everyone. So, after that, the cycle of rebirth and karma. So, Buddhism explains all humans must die. After death, rebirth follows. Our karma continues across life and death, circling up and down, coming and going through samsara. So the Dharma explains that people will inevitably die, and after that, rebirth follows. Karmic retribution follows us through life and death, coming and going without pause, like waves in the ocean, rising and falling. What kind of ocean is this? This is the ocean of suffering, of birth and death, isn't it? After learning Buddhism, we understand that birth and death are both the results, the manifestation, and the facts of suffering. So many people want to leave suffering and attain happiness, to never again suffer in this ocean of birth and death. At first glance, this seems to align with Buddhist thought, and on the surface, it is not wrong. But in fact, it is not the central view of Mahayana Buddhism. So there is where the deeper level of second metaphor comes in. To become a Buddha, to become a Bodhisattva, to attain liberation, it does not mean escaping from reality or leaving the human world, or leaving the ocean of birth and death to become a Buddha. We often use the lotus flower as a metaphor for the Buddha. So where is the root of the lotus? In the mud. Then where is the root of the Buddha? In the ocean of suffering and birth and death. So there's mistaken ideas about escape and practice. Many people, after taking refuge in the Buddha, abandon their families, quit their jobs, lose all interest in their careers. They become wholly absorbed in wanting liberation, spending all their time reciting sutras, prostration to the Buddha, sitting in meditation, dedicating themselves entirely to spiritual practice. So, there was an event, and our teacher was attending the events with all the high elite educated people in Taiwan. So at the event, a professor took refuge in the Three Jewels. And what he told our Sifu is that something afterward. What he told Sifu something afterward. He said he had long wanted to study Buddhism, but felt afraid of it. Only later on, after reading our teacher's book and seeing the mindset and work of our monastics, did he regain confidence in the Dharma and choose to take refuge. So our teacher asked him, why were you afraid to take refuge earlier? He said, some of my colleagues who were doing perfectly fine, teaching and researching, after taking refuge in the Three Jewels, quit their jobs and devoted themselves entirely to reciting Buddha's name and cultivating. They even gave up their families. When asked why, they said they were determined to escape the ocean of suffering and attain liberation quickly. They planned to return and help sentient beings only after achieving liberation. And he said this terrified him. He said, I fear that after taking refuge, I too would abandon my wife, my children, and my job. That would be disastrous. So I didn't learn Buddhism. Well, this has had a huge impact. And in fact, in Chinese Buddhism, there are not a few professors like that. So, do you know of people like this? So, it is here in the Platform Sutra, it says, from mud, the red lotus surely grows. This means for sentient beings to become Buddhas, they must listen to Dharma and cultivate Dharma. But where? In the human world, among ordinary people. In this very worldly environment, while helping others, we cultivate ourselves. This is the true Bodhisattva path. This is the true Buddha path. These words are deep in meaning and not easy to put into practice. But they represent the core spirit of Buddhism. At the same time, they can be experienced through our ordinary daily life. Often, we are afflicted and emotionally unbalanced. Sometimes due to the environment, sometimes due to our physical or physiological state, and sometimes for no clear reason at all. Well, what is that called? It's called trouble caused by the foolish themselves. There's a lot of that in the world. No one admits to it, but even coming to hear the Dharma, they could be seen as self-created disturbance. So, do you believe it? How could listening to Dharma be self-created trouble? Because the world is already peaceful, and yet you run around to hear teachings. Is that a kind of foolish self-disturbance? But here's the thing. You have already been self-disturbing for a long time. So coming here to disturb yourself again actually helps. And it is like muddy water. And coming here is like stirring it again with alum, A-L-U-M, a water purifying agent. It's still a kind of disturbance, but a helpful one, isn't it? So let's ask, is your coming here today a case of foolish self-disturbance? Yes, then that's no problem. You should come disturb yourself like this more often. In everyday life, we should use the Buddha's teaching to dissolve our own afflictions, resolve our own problem, and help others solve theirs. We should not create problems for ourselves, and even more so, should not create problems for others. If we really cannot avoid creating some trouble, at the very least, after hearing Dharma, we should try to create fewer problems. So, to turn major issues into minor ones, and gradually turn many problems into few, and then reduce those few problems into no problem at all. This environment we live in is one inhabited by ordinary people. It's a muddy world, isn't it? So it is called the Saha world, not a pure land, not a Buddha land. But even though we live in this impure, defiled world, if we can listen to Dharma, we should still feel encouraged. Even though I live in the mud, one day I will become a lotus blossom. How? We believe there is a lotus seed within us, and in the lotus pond, we continually add water. What does adding water mean? Well, practicing listening to Dharma. If we keep doing this, our affliction will gradually decrease. Even though the world may still be full of problems, our own mind will become increasingly purified. Eventually, we will certainly become Buddhas. We must have this kind of confidence and mental clarity. Then we can all gain peace of mind and hope in our hearts. Recognizing our affliction is a kind of wisdom. So you have all had this kind of experience, haven't you? You know that you are a bit slow or foolish, but are you truly a hopeless fool? You know your abilities are weak, but does that mean you are incapable of everything? You drink some alcohol and feel a little drunk, but does that mean you are already completely intoxicated? No, right? A person who is truly foolish doesn't even know they are foolish. A person who is truly drunk doesn't know they are drunk. A person who is truly overwhelmed by afflictions doesn't realize they are afflicted. Do you agree? Yes. So if you know that you are afflicted, then you are not beyond help. Once we recognize our afflictions, we can generate the wish and intention to reduce them little by little. That is like a lotus seed buried in the mud beginning to sprout. Even though it hasn't broken through the surface yet into a beautiful blossom, that first little sprout is already starting to grow. And that is something joyful and hopeful. So don't despair just because you have afflictions. So don't think, because I have affliction, I'm hopeless. No, if you can admit that you have affliction, face them directly. They will begin to dissolve. If, on the other hand, you feel hatred towards your affliction, try to escape them or struggle against them, you only layer affliction on top of afflictions. Let's give an example. A person slaps you, you slap them back. They come back and give you another slap, and so on. Originally, they might have hit you just once, but because you retaliated, they hit you again. If you hit them again, they might take a knife to you next. Why? Because you added fire to their fire. They were already angry, now they are furiously enraged. So what should we do? Don't add oil to it. This is how affliction gradually diminishes. So, saying that this responding with kindness dissolves anger. If you see someone angry and agitated, what do? Smile at them? If someone slaps your face, turn and smile back and say, "Wow, that really hurt, I'm sorry." They may have wanted to beat you to death, but you smile and the situation diffuses. Understand? Yes, but it's not enough just to understand. You must practice. And it is not something that happens all at once, little by little. The more you practice, the better you get. Otherwise, many people listen to the Dharma, read the Sutra, and what happens? They become more deluded. They grow angrier. Their greed increases. That is upside down behavior. And they say Dharma is useless. But that is not true. It is not that the Dharma has no effect. It's that they haven't applied it correctly. Okay. So I will stop here at this moment.
Well,